Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy and I'm coming through with another video. Today's topic is on red flags that you must not ignore. Red flags are warning signs you want to be aware of to determine if that person's the right fit for you or not. They're kind of similar to like when you get a penalty in a sport. When you get too many, no one wants to play with you anymore. These are red flags that you want to pay attention to in regards to romantic relationships or even just friendships in general. Some are a little bit more towards a romantic relationship, but if you see these things in somebody that you're getting to know, then you might not want to continue a relationship with them. Now here's the thing, we have all shown red flags at some point in our lives. So you don't want to just completely ride someone off because they may show one or two red flags. What you want to do is you want to go up to this person and you want to communicate the things that are bothering you about them and see how they respond. If they don't change in any sort of way, then you know, like this is someone you want to stay away from. But if they do, give them that chance, because sometimes we grow up in environments or around people that enable these bad behaviors, or we didn't learn what's healthy. So then we go around our lives and the only way that we change is based on what based on our experience and based on what other people are telling us. So like I said, if you bring this up to them and they're willing to work on it, like genuinely, like they're genuinely changing, not they say it and then they don't act on it, then there's nothing really wrong with that. But here's the thing, make sure you are not becoming the fixer. You're thinking like, oh, I can fix them, oh, I can help them change. Like, no, that's not what you want to take on. It's not your job to fix them. It's your job to communicate your wants and needs and how you want to be treated. That is your main priority. If they don't change, then you move on. I always say it's a 3 strikes and you're out rule. So if this person has 3 red flags or more, run for the hills. Like, it's a no-go. So the first red flag, like I mentioned earlier, is pay attention to their actions. People are really good at selling themselves. People can be very unself-aware and they think they're this certain person, but in reality they may want to be that person, but they're not. So they will talk about it as if they're this person, but then their actions don't match. For instance, someone that says they hate gossip, but then you catch them constantly gossiping. Or someone that maybe claims they're very generous, but then you don't see them doing anything to prove that. So really pay attention to what people's actions are over their words. This also can be a major sign that you are dealing with a manipulator. Manipulators are very good at selling this certain persona that they are to get you to then believe them, so then they can manipulate and control you. And I talk more about that in How to Spot a Manipulator, which I will leave in the description below. So really pay attention. Do their words match their actions, or does it seem like they're just saying things as if they're trying to sell something to you? The next thing, which is a major red flag, you don't feel like you can be yourself around them. You may feel like you need to hide parts of yourself. You may feel uncomfortable in some sort of way. And what that means is that you either fear them, you feel like they'll judge you in sort of way, maybe they're secretly condescending towards you and you don't even realize it. There's something that's making you feel uncomfortable to open up to them, and you want to understand like why, what is that? Most likely what's going on is they're doing something to make you feel uncomfortable and like you can't be yourself. Maybe you have to hide something. Maybe you have to hide parts of you from them so that way to avoid any type of criticism, or because you feel like they wouldn't accept that part of you. Whatever it is, you don't feel like you could be yourself, and that's a huge red flag. Whoever you are around, you should feel like you can be yourself. You need people that you can be yourself around, because eventually what happens is when you're not yourself, you turn into someone you don't really recognize, and you have to keep up with this story, and it's really stressful. And then you wind up dealing with anxiety and depression. So if you don't feel like you could be yourself around this person, or you're starting to feel anxious or maybe sad around them, that's a huge red flag. The next red flag, something doesn't feel right after your interactions with them. That means your gut instincts, your intuition is going off trying to tell you something like, hey, listen, there's a bunch of signs. I don't feel comfortable around this person. Like, pay attention to me. Your intuition is never wrong. Your intuition usually is the one that can tell when you're being manipulated, when you're dealing with gaslighting. And it's just an unexplainable feeling. You'll feel it in your gut, maybe you'll feel something in your chest, you'll just feel something in your body, something doesn't feel right. And this is something a lot of people ignore because they're like, oh no, like maybe I'm just wrong. It's because of that self-doubt. Self-doubt a lot of times will overtake their intuition because you can't figure out why you're feeling that way. You don't have evidence to back it up, so you just immediately ignore it and pass it off. And you're like, no, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand. So then you'll believe the self-doubt over your intuition. And then later down the line, like you'll be like, oh yeah, I felt like something was right, but I ignored it because I didn't have any evidence. Usually that means that if you feel like you can't see any evidence, like they're not really saying the wrong things or they're not doing the wrong things, usually what that means is there's like secret manipulation. The way their words are, maybe their body language makes you uncomfortable, maybe there's certain words they use, maybe you feel like you're doing some things that you don't genuinely want to do, maybe you feel like you're making decisions based off of fear rather than what you genuinely want. Whatever it is, something feels off. And you need to trust that. So really pay attention to that and pay attention to how you feel afterwards. And if you feel uncomfortable, you feel like something's not right, don't dismiss it. Don't let self-doubt guide you. Anytime that intuition's going off, you need to question, why am I feeling this way? And stay away from that person. The next thing, they take no accountability. They don't really apologize. They don't have the capability to self-reflect, which is a major sign that could potentially be a narcissist. So if you ever bring something up to them and they deflect, meaning they will switch the topic onto something else, or they will turn it around on you. They may project and make it seem like you're this certain type of person, or they will completely dismiss, like it doesn't even matter. If you're feeling any of that and you notice when you bring something up that bothers you or something they're doing wrong and this is the way they act, that's a huge red flag. You don't want to be involved with someone that can't grow with you. And that's how resentment builds, is when you are not able to express yourself or say certain things, you will then start to resent the people in your life or that particular person. The next thing, this one specifically comes with dating, but it also, in terms of friends, if you see your friends do this, this also could be a huge red flag in that regard. But somehow their exes are always crazy. So no matter what, somehow they seem innocent. They don't talk about them doing anything wrong, but each one of their exes are really crazy. It's weird how that turns out. How does someone continuously wind up with someone that's crazy? But they don't see what they could have done better, or the way that they could have grown, anything like that. And the way that you can test this is if you ask them and you say, well, was there anything that you wish you would have done differently in the relationship? If they can't come up with something, that is a huge red flag. That shows, like I said, they can't self-reflect, they can't look at themselves, and they most likely are sneaky. Maybe they were a serial cheater. No matter what it is, they did something wrong and they are projecting onto their exes. And also that can be a way of them getting you to not get in touch with their exes in some sort of way. Like if maybe you were to see them in public or if they were to reach out to you, you now have it in your head that they are crazy and to not believe them or interact with them in any sort of way. It's a way to divide you from them so that you can't find out how they really are. And also just understand, if you're dating this person, you're next. If you break up and they're talking this way about their exes, just understand they will talk about you in that same exact way. A lot of times people think like, oh yeah, no, this person would never do that to me. And they kind of think of themselves in this special sort of way. And that's not true. People like that use, manipulate, or abuse people in any sort of way, they don't care who you are. If they're narcissistic, they view you as some sort of supply. So no matter what, you're not any different. This is just like the honeymoon phase. And as soon enough, their true colors will come out. If someone comes across that all of their exes are crazy, definitely question that. And also understand how they treat their exes is how you will be treated. The next red flag is they don't respect your boundaries. So what boundaries are basically just fences that we put up to protect ourselves from unhealthy things that we don't want. Boundaries can be emotional, physical, or mental. And you are the one that decides what makes you feel comfortable. So for instance, maybe in dating, something that makes you feel comfortable is holding hands in private, but you don't want to hold hands in public. That's a boundary of yours. Maybe another boundary is that you don't want to talk on the phone after 9 p.m. That's a boundary of yours. Maybe you don't want to eat certain food, or you don't want to talk about certain topics. Those are all boundaries of yours. So if you notice anyone trying to disrespect your boundaries, or they push you continuously after you have let them know that you don't feel comfortable, that's a huge red flag. You don't want to be around people that are not going to be respectful of you, because that's extremely disrespectful. And that then causes you to feel uncomfortable, and it causes you to feel like you don't matter, and they can cause you to guilt you or make you feel like you're doing something wrong. Because unhealthy people or manipulative people, they don't want you to have boundaries. They want you to be an open book, so that way they can control you easier, they can manipulate you, they can make you who they want. So be really aware of that, of people, if they're trying to cross your boundaries in any sort of way, and they show no care, or they show no understanding about it. Another major one, I know I keep saying a major one, but I feel like this one is huge. If someone's not giving you straight answers, and they're like sidestepping the question, or they give you very blurred answers to questions you're asking, huge red flag. It's okay to not know things, but if you're asking somebody, hey, you know, where do you see us going? And they say, I don't know, what happens, not okay. If you specifically are heading in the direction of marriage, and you've let them know that, and they're just kind of like, well, see what happens. No. That is not acceptable. That's not okay. They either need to let you know, like, I'm not open to it, or I have issues with commitment, or I do want to get married, whatever it is. Like, you need more straightforward answers. And also, not giving straightforward answers means that they could potentially be secretive, or they are lying. Because if they don't give straightforward answers, they can't be held accountable. So if you're around someone where you're asking them direct questions, not questions that they can't answer, like, what do you think the weather's going to be in 3 weeks from now? Or when do you think that you're going to be able to afford a house? You know, things like that. They can't always give you answers to that. But I mean, answerable questions, like, where do you see us going? What kinds of things do you want in your life? Have you ever cheated? You know, things like that. If they can't give you straightforward answers, there's some weirdness in there. And also pay attention if they're very secretive, or even if you've caught them in lies. Are they hiding their phones? Do you feel like you're questioning them a lot? Those are kind of things that show that you feel like you can't trust them, and maybe they're secretive, or they're lying about things. And that eventually will evolve into this toxic, unhealthy relationship where there's no trust, and you feel like there's constant arguing, and you feel unsafe. Now, here's the thing. When you're first getting to know someone, they're not going to be a completely open book. That's not what I mean. But I mean, if you notice, like, if you ask things and they say, don't worry about it, or if you've literally caught them in a lie and they try to gaslight you, be like, no, that's not what happened, but you have valid proof, those are all huge red flags. So don't dismiss someone that is being secretive or is lying. If they tell you, like, I'm not ready to open up, that's fine. That's okay. But if they are deliberately saying sketchy things, red flag. Don't dismiss it. The next thing, pay attention to how they treat others, like waiters or their parents. So if they treat a waiter badly, that shows that they don't have a good view of people in general. And like I said, with exes, they'll also wind up treating you that exact same way. Same thing with actions. You need to pay attention to how they're treating people that maybe they don't feel like they can offer them a lot. You want to pay attention, do they see people as below them? This will give you insight into their manners and their values and their morals based on the way that they treat others, especially people that they feel like maybe are below them or they can't offer them a lot. The next red flag, someone that doesn't listen. Now here's the thing, there's a huge difference between listening and hearing. You can hear all types of stuff, but listening means your ability to understand and be able to be attentive. This makes us feel heard and understood. So if you feel like you are unheard in the relationship, that's a red flag. Now here's the thing, when it comes to listening, a lot of people struggle with listening. But there comes to a point where you really feel like they're not listening to you. They don't really know much about you maybe, or they don't really care about the things you're saying, you don't feel like they listen to any of your feelings, those are all red flags. You need someone that will validate your feelings and that you can work with and grow and communicate, rather than being with someone that completely can't hear you. And the next sign, they're very controlling. So they may try to control what you wear, what you eat, how you look, who you're around, the way you spend your money, the jobs you have, all those things they may be controlling, and they may try to come across as that they care and they're doing it because they love you. So pay attention. If someone is trying to control what you're doing or anything in your life in any sort of way, and then they try to pass that off that they're loving and they're caring and that's why they're doing it, that's a big red flag. You don't want to be involved with someone that's like that, because eventually it will get to the point where they will then isolate you, so that way you don't have anyone around you, and then they have you to themselves and they can manipulate you a lot easier. They don't care about your feelings or your opinions. They're getting stuck on trying to control you and making you who they want. The next red flag, they move too fast. This one is huge, because when a relationship moves fast, it also ends fast. It most likely means that it could be very it also means it could be a relationship where it's a very fantasy-like everything feels perfect, it feels too good to be true, all of that, which means that it could potentially lead to a detrimental ending. Also, someone that moves too fast shows that they may not have healthy boundaries, shows that they could potentially be manipulative, because someone that moves too fast means that they have a secret motive, like they want to get to a certain point, and what is that point? So you want to try to make sure that you take things slow and things don't move too fast, and they move at your pace. When you start to put in boundaries and you kind of move at your own pace, it really shows people's true colors. It shows like you want someone that's going to respect you and go at your pace. If someone's trying to move too fast, they most likely have a secret motive. The next red flag, you deal with a lot of put downs. Now, there are relationships where like you may have a brutal sense of humor. I know I have relationships in my life where we have a brutal sense of humor and we banter and we go back and forth, like that's fine. But the thing is, if you feel like you're not a part of the joke, but you are the joke, that's a problem. If you leave feeling worse off than you came, and you kind of play the negative thoughts, and you kind of play the negative things that you were told over and over again in your head, that's a problem. You want someone that's going to constructively criticize you, not someone that makes you feel bad for the way you look, the way you act, the things you do. That's not okay. So if you're dealing with any put downs and you are leaving miserable, red flag, run. The next red flag, they take more than they give. This is a major one to all my codependents out there, all my empaths, all my highly sensitive people, all my naturally giving people. This is the one you gotta pay attention to. You need to be with someone that will match your energy. It needs to be a give and take, 50-50. Sometimes in relationships, it's 70-30, sometimes it's 30-70, whatever it is. But the thing is, if it's consistently where you're giving 70 and they're giving 30, nah, not okay. Not okay. There needs to be points where they offer things and you offer things, and it's, and you need that. That needs to be a basic requirement in your life. So if you feel like you are giving way more than you're getting, you need to do one of two things. One, you may need to look at yourself and your expectations, and you may need to lower your expectations of yourself, which will then lower the expectations you have of the other person. Or you need to have a conversation with this person about how you're feeling that you are not getting the same in return of what you're giving. If they respond in a negative way, like they are dismissing your feelings, then you put that in your check mark of red flags. And the last red flag, jealousy. This one's a hard one, because a little jealousy, it's normal, it's healthy, it's okay. It kind of is a turn on, like, oh look, this person, they're a little bit jealous and they actually like me. A little bit is okay. But here's the problem. It's when it's to the extreme. It's when they're like secretly going through your phone, or they're texting people for you and telling you you can't hang out with this person. Jealousy is an insecurity on their end. So if you feel like you have to hide things from them because you don't want to deal with their rage from them being jealous, or you notice yourself getting afraid because you're scared of the way they'll react to something, or you feel like you can't dress a certain way, you can't act a certain way because they will act in a jealous way, that's a red flag. You don't want to be with someone that's overly insecure, overly jealous. Because jealousy is just major insecurity. It doesn't matter what they've been through in their past relationships. It's not healthy to bring into your relationship. So if they're dealing with jealousy, they either need to handle it on their own or they need to work with you on it, whatever it is. The major jealousy, it's not okay. That's a big red flag. And you don't want to deal with someone that's overly constantly jealous and may make you feel bad, may make you scared, may make you feel stressed, because then it will become an abusive relationship where you may hide things or it'll become toxic, and it doesn't end well. So stay away from overly jealous people, and also people that are very aggressive. Obviously, of course, no one's allowed to touch you. Like hitting in any sort of way, that's never okay. But also, it's not okay if they are aggressive in any sort of way, or if they make a lot of threats towards you, or they make you feel insecure in any sort of way. Like maybe they threaten abandonment, divorce, they threaten to hurt you in any sort of way. That's never okay. So stay away from people that make you feel threatened or make you feel unsafe. It's important to be aware of red flags, because when you are aware of red flags, it's much easier to protect yourself, and it's a better way for you to understand what it is that you want in your life rather than allowing unhealthy relationships guide your life. And being aware is also a practice of self-love, because when you're aware, you're identifying these are unhealthy things that I do not want in my life. And you will make sure that you don't allow them in your life, because you are trusting and loving yourself more than you are allowing these unhealthy relationships in your life. So these are some of the red flags that you don't want to dismiss, you want to really pay attention to. And some of these things are things that you cannot tolerate and you definitely need to walk away from. What do you guys think? Leave it all in the comments below. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with someone that you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye, guys. I think I got nail polish on my pants.